IAM users, a description of IAM users. So we'll see what is a description and kind of users that you would be having it in IAM users. So here users are defined as a people, right? So or the systems. If you see the people here, it doesn't mean to only the I mean people only accessing the server. So when you meant this one as even the systems also, as we have seen kind of groups and also policies. So you call it everything as a IAM users, right? Uh, so all that users, you'll have the admin user, you'll have the end user who would be using that particular system, and you have the physical systems, which is your databases or the front-end systems which you are connecting to your applications, right? So you can do everything connected to your AWS resources. So this is how IAM users will come into picture, and how they have been segregated, and when they're connecting to the cloud. Okay, coming to the security credentials. Okay, so here we'll talk about the kind of the various ways of providing secure user access to your AWS resources. Like we have seen by using multi-factor authentication is one of the things that we can limit the user for accessing a couple of applications. So that is an, as I said, it's an optional, but you can even this is one of the feature that you're giving it to your users, right? And the key based access. So let's say key based access, and you when you go into the AWS for a couple of services, you have to have the key in order to access that particular service. So it's not just only the MFA, which is login time that you're accessing. Key based access to couple of services within the AWS. And there is a one more security that we can provide is a key pairs. So which is consist of both the public and private keys. And how the private keys work here is like creating any kind of a digital signatures and all that. uh, when you have something as a digital signature in a private key format, that can be used to log into a couple of systems. And even you can even have the public keys corresponding to any kind of AWS users that you're creating within the system. And using those public keys, you can validate and log in, give the access to that particular system. The keys in a alphabetical format, a combination of both your numerics and alphabetics. So it's a randomly created one, so you can take that as a key actually. Okay. uh, and email address, password, this is the first time that I have showed you like one way of you need to sign up to the AWS account with your email ID and password. They are the key things to use it your for accessing your AWS applications at the starting stage. And user names and all, IAM username and password also can be created. When you have created IAM user and password, when you log out, and you can even log in as a IAM user. That time you will not see all the services where admin user was able to see, right? So that is also one of the feature or the security credentials that you wanted to keep all the resources away from every user. Only a specific set of users can only can see that services based on what we are granting it to them. And coming to the specific scenario which I would like to talk about here is if you are like administrator to any company, which of the following would you use to grant user access to the AWS account? So here the company A is there and company B is there, and here you wanted to create AWS service. So you go for either option A or option B. What's your take on this based on the discussions that we had so far, Patrick? Patrick, are you there in the call?
Yes, I'm there.
I'm
I
sorry. Okay.
always mute myself.
Okay, no problem. Yeah, so this we discussed, and if you wanted to have like administrator of any company, and you wanted to give some policies to access to the AWS account, so which one do you go for it, either for option A or option B? Which is your take on it?
B.
Right, so we would be using IAM in order to manage
Yeah.
the users and access to it, and get them into the web service like image
Yeah.
on AWS. Right, so demonstrating how to create IAM user. I think we have covered this, creating the IAM user and granting groups, adding them into the specific groups. And we came to the knowledge checkpoint again. So here the question is, what will automatically be granted when you create a new user?
A new user. What when you create a new user,
Yeah,
the access ID and secret access key, the FM token and password, secret key and encrypted key, access token, and uh, I will go with A here.
yeah, A is the correct answer. Here, when you create, yeah, the access key ID and the secret access key will be generated. That I have shown you that this while showing that it's a alphanumeric format, right? Combination
Yeah.
of your alphanumeric. So that is the secret key. Even you can opt for manual key which you wanted to enter instead of the auto-generated one. So A is the correct answer here.
Yeah.
Okay, the next question is, what is the first step when you set up an AWS account? I think probably you have not told you this, but do you have any fair guess here? I'll tell you and explain about it.
Okay, creating an account. No, you just showed me that.
That's what I said. Yeah,
You
I did.
showed me something like
Yeah,
to create
bec-
an account. I should go in there, log in, and they will put my ID. My you said my credit card, and then they will check for authentication.
right,
Yeah,
right.
but let me try to check this answer. What is the first step when you set an AWS account? US Trail to configure your account. Set a role that has been the same. Uh, Set an account with your company email. I will first. You said they will take my email. Well, I will use. I will take. Maybe I'm between A and C, but I will. Uh, Set an account with your you're already setting an account with your company email. It might be a personal email. You can still set an account. I'll go with A.
You'll go with yeah. Okay. I'll tell you the first setup. I mean, first thing, because I have already created the user with my email ID, so I
Yeah.
didn't tell you very elaboratively how to do that. But now I'll explain you. So the first step is always take an email ID, and when you're registering it, it's a similar case, like you need to provide all your details, like first name, last name, your email ID information, and you can choose the password, and probably you have to give your credit card information and everything while
Yeah.
registering your account. So here it says the company email ID, but you can even go with your Gmail or any other email or ID account to set up your account. So C is the right answer. So
Yeah,
all
but
these things
when it
like
says about company email,
mhm.
uh, I thought specifically is they're mentioning a company, and I'm looking at it like not everyone can own a company
Right, yeah.
email. Yeah. So okay.
Yeah, it shouldn't be a company. It should be like your personal email ID also can be used to create a AWS account. But when your account is getting activated based on the credit card information that you're going to give it, they'll validate everything. They'll send you, they deduct some amount, as I mentioned, $1 or something, to make sure that that you're going to charge if you are exceeding the usage, free limit usage for the any particular user. So this is the first step. All the other step like using of a CloudTrail to configure your account, or set up a role based, I mean it's giving the role to the same as the company name. All this can be done at the later stage, but setting up your account with the email address is the first step.
Okay.
And the next question here is, okay, yeah, I think we went to the next one. Description of IAM groups. So we have seen the groups, but we'll talk about what are the groups that we have here, and we'll see at high level. As I mentioned, when you have a set of users, you can first, design something like this, that you can have a set of groups that that you can create the groups. Mm-hmm.
Kishore, can I ask a quick question? I'm
Yes,
sure I'm
certainly.
going. I might be too fast. I might be too
Yeah, no problem.
fast.
Mm-hmm. No
The
problem.
the questions, the assessment question you are giving,
Mm-hmm.
are they similar assessment question for the certification?
It is a similar, questions you will get it, but it's not the same question, but the questions should be in a similar case. Like whatever we are talking about, the questions in this examination and the presentation, right? You will get
Yeah.
the similar set of questions in the certification exam also.
Okay.
Yeah. So even probably when you're practicing it, first of all, they wanted to check, the knowledge on the services, and how you're doing the configuration, what services can be used for what. So this is kind of a questions that you get in the certification exam. So nothing beyond that we are talking about, but it's just only to understand the services and what it does when you are working on the AWS.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, coming to this, IAM groups. One second, let me have some water. Yeah, so as we have seen, there are separate groups that we have seen in the AWS account when I logged in, right? So you can create, or design your application in such a way that you can have a separate set of group users, and when you have the set of group users added to that particular groups, and you can attach the policies to it. Policy is something, let's say if you are saying, you're the maybe the management user can have, like administrator access, for example. So when you have the group created, you would be attaching the policies to it. So the policy which is already one of the policy we talked about, we have 200 pre-built, or readily available policies in the AWS. You can put this policy added to that particular group. So the users in that group are having administrator access. So let's say user A1 can access, or can log in as a super user, because he has given administrator access policy to that particular group. So they can manage, but ideally we'll not give admin access to the multiple users to avoid something may go wrong, right? So we have the very limited users, maybe maximum 2 members in a backup scenario. If you look at, we'll have very limited users in a administrator. Rest of them you'll create IAM users, or different users, like you wanted to create some separate users for HR department, for example, for any kind of analytics department, and you wanted to create some specific users for the database group. So you can I mean create all these groups and provide specific policies to it, and they can access only the that instances or the services which have been given granted to the policies. They cannot even look for the other policies. That's where we talk about groups. And as I mentioned, admin is the super user, and you can have a multiple users, like developers and admins. For example, they have taken some name here, and what they can do, they can admin users and the developers can connect to EC2, and but only admin users can connect to EC2 as well as Elastic Bean Search, which they wanted to monitor something what's happening with all the services which are there in the cloud premises. Okay, but developers cannot do anything, but they can just only access the applications which are being deployed into the EC2. Demonstrating how to create IAM groups. I think I have shown you the IAM group creation, and then only have created user and added to that group, right? So we
Yeah.
can skip this portion. Again, we came to the knowledge check once again. How does AWS define a group? So, Patrick.
Yeah. Uh, an entity that has control, secured access to resources, a resource to use. No. I will go with. I'll go with a B.
Yeah, B is the right answer, because if a group if we created and if we are giving that particular access to it, it will be the same set of permissions everybody in the group would be having it. So B is the right answer here. Let's see. Yeah, B